Basic Appraisal Procedures, page 4. Identify the intended use of the appraisal. An appraisal is the basis for a decision regarding real property. What the decision will be or the use of the appraisal is a key determinant of the research and analysis performed during the appraisal's development. Similar to intended users, different intended uses might require different research and/or analysis, or at different levels. There can be numerous uses of an appraisal. Financing. The level of research and analysis might be driven by the risk taken by the client, or in many cases, other regulations identified in the assignment. Litigation. Are there special circumstances or property interests involved? Could testimony or a court appearance be required? Asset valuation. The appraisal of the subject property can be different if the value of the property is elevated within a portfolio of investments rather than determining its value alone. Often these uses may be closely related to the type and definition of value in the assignment. We'll discuss that next. Important points. Simply paying the appraiser does not make you the client or intended user. Unless engaged by the property owner, he or she is not the client or intended user. A party receiving a copy of a report does not become an intended user. Once determined at the time of the assignment, the client and intended users cannot change. Appraisal reports cannot be transferred, readdressed, or reassigned after completion of the assignment. The original clients and other intended users' needs and requirements played a primary role in what the appraiser performed and how the conclusions were reported. Identify the type and definition of value. The type and definition of value are sometimes referred to as purpose of the appraisal. Care must be taken not to confuse purpose of the appraisal with intended use. Typically, the purpose of an appraisal is to determine a value opinion for a defined type of value. Market value is the value conclusion most frequently specified in an appraisal. However, other types of value can be derived based on the appraisal's use. The type and definition of value should always be appropriate for its intended use. A common example is when the client specifies the appraisal's intended use to determine the value of a property for a quick sale. The term quick sale most likely infers liquidation value as the type of value derived in the assignment. Of course, before coming to this conclusion, the appraiser should confirm the client is suggesting the property must be sold in a less than typical marketing period with less than typical market exposure. Many of the various types of value and their applications are discussed in basic appraisal principles. Determining the type and definition of value is also important for determining whether other analysis must take place in the appraisal process. USPAP Standards Rule 1 through 3 requires that when the type of value is market value, the appraiser must analyze the important points. The appraiser determines the intended use by communicating with the client prior to accepting the assignment. To identify the intended use, the appraiser must identify the client and the client's requirements. The intended use may have different development and reporting requirements for one or more intended users. Your extra note, you're not looking for market value, you're looking for liquidation value, and that was pointing to up there. We can't change, but some appraisers can and charge, I don't know. Never pick up checks. I don't know what that says. Approximate or appointment. I ain't a collector.